I just went to the airplane restroom to wash my face, never imagining that this simple act would save my life. Just as I was cleaning the wound on my finger, there was a sudden explosion in the cabin, and the plane shook violently. Luckily, I grabbed the toilet door in time. A steward came over and put an oxygen mask on me and helped me to my seat and gave me a pair of life-saving gear. I could feel the plane plummeting into the sea. I noticed a pocket watch on the floor that my girlfriend had given me for my birthday. Without hesitation, I immediately unbuckled my seatbelt and crawled desperately towards the pocket watch. I clung to the cargo net, powerless as I watched the plane crash. The violent impact caused a large amount of seawater to rush into the cabin, and I swam out as hard as I could, then opened the lifeboat and climbed in. The sea was rough. I held onto the rope. I spent the rest of the night like that. It was not until early the next morning that I realized I had drifted to a deserted island. I quickly checked my pocket, relieved that the watch my fiancé gave me was still there. I shouted around the island, but it was silent and there was no one around. I couldn't believe that I was in a plane crash while making a delivery. I drew a distress signal on the beach and started looking for food. Luckily, there were a lot of watermelons on the island, but their shells were too hard. I picked up a rock and smashed it, but it broke into pieces. One of the pieces was sharp enough, so I used it as a knife. After a lot of effort, I finally managed to eat the watermelon. At that time, I realized that I couldn't survive on water alone, so I decided to go down to the sea to fish. But the reef had bruised my feet. I didn't catch any fish, but got a foot injury instead. I had no choice but to tear my only pants and make a pair of simple cloth shoes. Then I went to the top of the hill to have a look around this island. Suddenly, I saw something in the water, and when I got closer, it turned out to be the corpse of my colleague. I dragged the body to shore and took off his shoes to try them on. They were a bit small, but could still be worn after a little remodeling. Then I searched for something useful from him, and finally buried the body, and carved a tombstone for him. At nighttime, the sea suddenly lit up. I hurriedly turned on my flashlight and called out for help, but because of the distance, the people on the boat didn't even notice me. When it got light, I tried to row the lifeboat after the boat, but huge waves came at me one after another. I watched myself get farther and farther away from the shore and was not willing to give up, but then a huge wave knocked me over, punctured my lifeboat and cut my thigh on the reef. I had no choice but to drag my injured leg back to the island, but now I'm running out of food. What should I do next to survive on this deserted island?